Hello, everyone. You're listening to 89.1 FM WXVU. And tonight, joining us from Ohio, we have Joe Vitale Jr. Are you there, man?
I am right here. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm having a great time tonight. Thank you.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Anyway, Joe is currently supporting his new debut solo album, Dancing with Shadows. Great album. I'll play some tracks from that after we're done with this interview. But to start it all off, Joe, you are a multi-talented musician. This is amazing. You play everything from drums/percussions to guitar, vocals, keyboard, bass. Which instrument did you learn first, and what drove you to learn so many?
Well, it's actually interesting. My dad is Joe Vitale, the drummer who's played with the Eagles and currently with Crosby, Stills and Nash, and was one of the co-writers on Rocky Mountain Way. And so drums were always around my family the most. And so I started off by learning drums when I was probably about 12 years old is when I started. And mainly because I just wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to, learn to play drums like that. And then I started, I always have been kind of hyper in my life. So I started learning other instruments because I wanted to learn more and more constantly. So I picked up guitar and then kind of learned, learn keyboards and bass and everything I could get my hands on. I still do that, actually. Every time I run into something new, it's fun.
Nice, man. I mean, I'm looking at the credits for your album here, and there's some songs, it is literally just you, and that's amazing to me.
Thank you.
But apparently also, instruments aren't enough because you are a digital audio engineer. How'd that come about?
Again, I started recording my own songs back when I was in high school. I got one of those little Porta Studio Tascam 48s back in 1992. And I started learning to record, and I wanted to get more into the digital side of things as computers came fast enough to do that. And so I started working with, back then it was called Sonic Foundry. It's now Sony Media Software, and I'm one of their endorsees, and we do loops for Acid for them, which is a great program that they use. And so I started messing around with SoundForge and Vegas and all those other programs they have, and really it seemed like it kind of fit. It's one of those things where I seem to have a kind of a knack for working with that kind of digital software. So that kind of developed out of that, and then I had my dad started bringing a couple projects to me and said, could you maybe clean this up or do whatever basically to it, and that all kind of fell together, and I ended up getting some jobs out of it, and ended up doing a lot of Stephen Stills digital work on several of his past records, and just actually a recent live DVD live at Shepherd's Bush from London from last year. Wow,
man. And going on about that Stephen Stills, am I saying that right?
Yes.
All right, Stephen Stills. In 2005, apparently you were doing the digital audio editing work for the album Man Alive, which actually won a humanitarian award from UNICEF for the song Feed the People. How'd that make you feel contributing to a work such as that?
Oh, it was really great. I mean, when we first started working on the record, it was a song from 1979. They gave it to me and said, could you make this? It was all different tempos and stuff, and we wanted to kind of make it all uniform and re-sing some new words and so forth. So we put all that together, and then I gave it to Stephen. He sang the new words to it, and then they had, I didn't even know about it at the time, they had given it over to UNICEF to check this out, and they gave him this incredible award, and it's just, first of all, I was honored to have worked on the project. I was touched that he was able to win that award for me. I was just blown away by it. I was just like, wow, this is something that I didn't expect at all, and I thought it was incredible.
You still sound amazed about it, man.
It is. It's amazing. It's fun.
Yeah, that's always good. And going on to a little bit about your sound that you have on this new album, a very interesting mix of industrial and classic rock. How'd you come up with the idea to do that? Was there any special influence, or was it just something you stumbled upon?
A little bit of both, actually. When I first started writing, I've always kind of liked electronic music. Two of my favorite groups are The Who and Nine Inch Nails, which I know are completely polar opposites. But I started messing around with playing guitar and so forth, and then started adding some really heavy synth to it, and then using a lot of the kind of backing percussion that you hear a lot of stuff in Nine Inch Nails, and all of a sudden it just kind of fit, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I got something here with this. And so I thought it was something like, well, let's try this and see what it does. And so I started, writing some new songs and putting tracks down, and all of a sudden everything kind of fell together, and I was like, I think we have something here. So it was kind of a little bit of a mix. It was, my influence from The Who and from Nine Inch Nails, but also from just kind of experimenting with it and kind of stumbled upon it.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, I'd have to say.
Thank you.
All right. Now, according to your website, which for all of those out there who don't know, www.joevitalegr.com, you have also spoken on many topics, including, here's another long list, music industry, record labels, music video production, music marketing, promotion, audio engineering, mastering, digital editing, and other related topics. All right, I have two-part question for this, so we'll go one at a time. First, is there a difference, besides the crowd reaction, between performing as a musician and presenting as a speaker?
Oh, yes. Well, it's one of those things where when you're going and you're talking before a crowd of, like, if you're talking like to an industry crowd, you're not going to get like usually the applause and excitement in the crowd. Well, you get applause, but you won't get like the excitement like when people are jamming to a song. People are more sitting there intently, and they're more or less listening to what you're having to say, which can be when you're performer, it's a little off-putting initially when you're first starting it, because you kind of want to get that reaction and that kind of adrenaline boost you get when you're doing, kind of a show. But it is similar though, because when you're done, you get usually, you get applause from the crowd. You get, usually you get questions though, which is something you usually don't have at a concert, but still, it's fun.
Nice. And sticking on the public speaking part, of all those topics, do you have a particular favorite, or is it just whatever happens, you enjoy them all?
Well, I've always been, like, going back to the hyper comment, I've always been wanting to learn new stuff. And so I'm always trying to pick up new either skills or more information about my industry and how to help further myself as a musician and also engineer. And so I love reading about pretty much anything that the industry has to throw at me, but I do really love talking about digital engineering. That is something I really find really fascinating to talk about, and sound design and mastering and mixing and all that stuff. It's just part of being a musician also. If you're able to, mix and engineer, it really helps you because you have a better understanding when you go in to record something. You have an idea, how do we craft this sound, and you have already kind of the tools in your mind to do it. So I really enjoy speaking about digital editing. It's a lot of enjoyment for myself, and I've spoken out at the NAMM show for Sony in LA for a couple years, and it's really a great time. I just really enjoy talking about that. Nice.
And adding on to your many accolades already, you're a musician of many talents, you're a sound engineer, but you're also a songwriter. What things influence your writing the most?
This will actually probably sound very familiar. A lot of people will say this. They say write what you know. And what I've always tried to do is I've always tried to do two things. I try to bring something from personal experience from my life, whether it be good or bad in that sense. And then I like to basically try to do something that the audience is going to get something out of it too. Like I think of it like kind of two ways. One, what do as a crowd, what do the audience like? And then I also look at it like, what do I like? And so I try to combine them, and then you get the sound out that you want to, whatever type of song you're writing. But I usually, basically with day to day, I look at every single day comes across, and like there'll be months nothing really comes by. And then one day you get influenced by either something you hear on the radio or someone says something to you or whatever, and all of a sudden a song can just spark in your brain, and you run home and you try to write down as many of your ideas as possible. And unfortunately, in my case, a lot of that happens at like 4 or 5 in the morning when I'm just getting ready to go to bed. I have to get the ideas down right then.
I see.